everything is here. All we need is dollars by going through a broker for a bank, which would cost us $3,000. But in the end, we're going to be, it paid for our transportation, it paid for even putting a little money back into our pocket. That's why we went with the $90,000 on it. So all we needed to do is have a motion for the resolution, have it signed, and a vote on it, and that will be a done deal. Yvonne has already added it to the insurance for tomorrow, because they'll need a copy of our insurance, that it is insured. Checks will be on the way as soon as this is done.
Okay, and of course the actual agreement will happen in the regular meeting. Is there any last minute questions, thoughts, comments? As James said, we've been discussing it for a while.
I'm taking looking at the budget and the road program that we put in. I don't think we have the ability to charge for roads other than expedited.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bob. Any other thoughts, folks? All right. Second one.
Okay, second is CCAC. We had they ramrodded me into chairman of it. And what we were able to do is make a resolution to dissolve the CCACC, but before that we need to have an agreement for assignment of assumption of the design review and covenant enforcement authority, which will be the board now. That was all stated here. If you remember back in February, we had our attorney look at it and give us some recommendations as to exactly what we needed to do. I have a copy of it here if you need a copy to go through it again. I can run some real quick. But I'm going step by step of what she needed done. And I know Greg and Harry both have reviewed it with me that day. That's to say these are the steps that are needed to do. We set up the account so that it will go to the CCMD. It will be used for want to help me with that, Greg?
For neighborhood cleanups, if we want to do any for
legal fees,
stuff along those lines.
Yeah.
Basically just operations of the committee.
Yes.
Yes.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I don't know about anybody else out here, but we have no idea what you're talking about, and none of that information is provided to us.
Okay, with the CCAC, we've been talking about it since January.
You've got a document there that wasn't provided to us.
Well, this document was the recommendations to, after we talked, we went through the lawyer, I went through the lawyer to make sure exactly what needed to happen. Okay, well, and that's what
Solving that whole system, and we're gonna start meeting next Monday.
That's not what the question was, Harry.
We're gonna start meeting Monday when we get
I
to
think,
resolve this.
is anything confidential in that?
No, if you want,
I think we can get you a
Well,
copy.
my point is, why isn't that information provided to us when they come in?
It was an oversight.
it was an
I've been
oversight. Well,
asking
on
I've
it,
been asking this question for
on it, it says privileged and confidential because it is a lawyer's opinion, our lawyer's opinion. As to what we need to do.
Confidential then.
That's why it is out there.
Let's talk about that lawyer's opinion then.
Okay.
Well, that's been brought up.
Okay.
Who appoints the CCACC? Who appoint members of the Architectural Control Committee?
We did.
Okay, how can they give us something that we didn't give them?
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
You've lost me.
I understand, and that's why I made a few notes here. Right down here, let me find it here. Section E, the ACC desires to assign all of its rights under the covenants to the Metro District and delegate all of its obligations under the covenants to the Metro District. They haven't got any rights or obligations at all, so they can't delegate back anything. On top of that, The ACC is an, nonprofit entity. You got formed for the purpose of administration, enforcing, and making recommendations. It was appointed, not formed for, it was appointed to do those things. So therefore, they cannot appoint back something they don't have.
Which in the
By
past,
assigning all of the delegates' rights and obligations under the covenants, the ACC desires to appoint the Metro District as its successor as permitted by the covenants. Show me anywhere in the covenants where they have the right to appoint the Metro Board anything.
that is one of the aspects of what they were doing, and if you go to the in review, making determinations in covenant enforcement.
Number 3.
Lines and everything, and the board had no say about anything that happened, cause it's their own entity. And I think what we're trying to do is bring it back in and dissolve that whole thing and go through the proper channels so that, since we appointed that board.
Okay,
And
let's dissolve it.
And then we're gonna appoint 3 new members plus 2 board members, and then they'll be, as a group, new officers and things that answer to the board.
Cause
Why are you wanting them to appoint us as successor? Who is the declarant?
it says, since the district is not named in the covenants, the best options are the property enter into an agreement with the ACC, designs its powers to the district before dissolution. We recommend the agreement.
You cannot enter into an agreement.
Of the Special District Act, the district is governed by statement of purpose, is silent on the ability to exercise design review, covenant enforcement, and authority, which was added as a new power for the design review covenant enforcement power.
And the Met cannot be the declarant. They asked to become successor to the declarant. Once you became successor, it was to form or to appoint an architectural control committee. The architectural control committee never had any power other than being appointed to do the covenant, which give way to the formation of the metropolitan district. So, in years past, when I started complaining about this, we pointed out the Metro could shut that place down anytime by stop appointing people. They could even remove people if they wanted to. Me and Greg had this discussion. The CCACC, you can see right here in the formation of that corporation, this is a copy of the filed formation, was an LLC, a non-profit LLC. The only way you could become a member of this corporation was by appointment from the Metropolitan District. We can kill them all we want, but they cannot appoint back anything because they've never had anything. We are the successor at this point in time. No changes, no stating there's changes. We can't do that. We are the successor.
But the aspect of why we need to dissolve it is what you brought up.
Dissolve is fine. You can dissolve
They have money
them.
in that account.
They can dissolve. We can't. They can dissolve. You appointed a committee.
And we
So when we
appointed
dissolved it,
That's fine.
to
It's
dissolve
dead.
it.
It's done.
that's what we're gonna do tonight.
And that's what we did within
We
our.
don't, Harry. We cannot. We cannot dissolve anything.
Let's-
Only that corporation can dissolve itself.
But we are now the appointed officers of that corporation.
Corporation.
You can do that,
That's
but you
what we're
can't do
doing.
it at this meeting here.
No, what
No, we already
we
did
need,
it.
what we
Then it's
need,
dead. You can't appoint a successor.
the thing that we need for that though, is the agreement that the board.
They can't give an agreement. They can't give that agreement. That's the problem. That's what I'm trying to point out.
Why can't they give it? Because we are the
We
board
are
now.
the successor already.
I know, but
They
we-
can't give us that. They cannot give us something we already are.
Okay,
Can I make a statement?
Yeah.
If you read your paragraph, which you say it's privileged, but it doesn't sound like an entity should be privileged. It claims that ACC, or whatever you call it, is a successor. They are not the successor. Therefore, what your wording is absolutely wrong. They are not the successor.
You cannot take action
And all
on
you
this.
have to do is the
because it's
Secretary of State
incorrect.
is file a form and a resolution, and you can give the money back to CCMD. This is a lot of, legal work and everything for nothing. File the forms with the Secretary of State, dissolve the ACCC, have a resolution within that group to give the money to CCACC or CCMD, which is another quasi-governmental entity. It's all clean, done.
And that's what has
That's
been
what we
done.
did.
You don't need any
With
agreement.
that.
You need none of this if you've done that.
We've done that, but she said on the aspect to
Did she
show
look at
that,
whose successor is?
and that's what it's stating, that the successor
We
will
are the
be the
successor.
district. Yeah. But
This
it's a-
attorney needs to be fired.
Bob,
We are
we
the
pay this
successor.
attorney good money.
Yeah,
do
and
this
we've
stuff.
looked at her contracts before.
So, so basically the purpose of all of this is to disband,
No,
yes.
Yes, it is.
And
disband is
the
done.
argument.
They can disband anytime they
No,
want.
no, no,
We
we
can't
have to go through
disband.
the legal, we have to go through the legal part of it, and that's what we're doing tonight.
No, you're not with this document.
No.
This document is
No.
making statements that aren't true.
So what is the downside to using that document?
It's illegal.
How is it illegal?
We are not, they are not the successor. They cannot
So
grant anything.
what's the downside to that?
It's not binding.
You
It's
don't,
not binding.
It
How's
is,
that?
it is just giving the road path that
It
the
is no road path.
CCMD is the successor to it.
CCMD is already
I know
the
it is.
successor.
I know it is.
So
So
what
you've
you're
got it
saying
in
is,
here.
because it has incorrect wording in it,
Yes, it's a dead document.
that it's not correct, even though it accomplishes what you say we need to accomplish.
Killing the entity, only the entity can do and give up its money. We can't do any of that. You 3 or 4 can. This board cannot. This board can't touch any of that with a 10-foot pole.
so what it
That's
sounds
a
to
part
me
one.
like it's accomplishing is verifying what you're saying.
No,
The
Can I say
board is
something?
verifying what you're saying.
no, you've got a question back there too.
I just gonna make a statement, Bob's right, if the wording, if you're already the successor, you can't have a successor. It's, the word is totally incorrect, don't have to be an attorney. It's incorrect, you're doing
So
nothing.
I'll go back to
It's
my
a
other
nothing
question.
sandwich.
Okay.
The
Okay.
CCM,
So it's a
the
nothing,
CCAC has to do their part, not
which
the
they've
board,
done,
Which
not the
they've
board,
done.
not the board.
Which we've
which
done.
they've done.
Which this
That's
gives,
already been done.
this
Then
gives
we
the
don't need
roadmap to
Okay.
saying
Then we
that,
don't need that.
okay, now it is on
If
the
we've done it.
responsibility of
Yeah,
the city. We gotta get this to make the successor, which,
You're already the
which is us.
successor.
You're
You are
already
appointed
the
the other
successor.
people. We are the successor. You can't touch this.
Okay, so, yeah, I'm
And
not gonna
if
waste
you're an
any more time
appointee,
on this.
whoever appointed you can rescind that appointment at any time. I've had this discussion before.
Mhm.
This board appointed the other board. This board can rescind that appointment anytime they want to.
Okay, my point is
And I'll.
that
go ahead.
there's no downside to this.
I believe
Whether
there
it's
is.
incorrect or not, what can one of, can Neil, just picking on you, Neil, who had nothing to do with any board, any appointment, can he sue us and own the Metro District because we use this agreement? Or is this
You
agreement
violate-
just a
you-
waste of time?
My thought would be that this is really simple. The Secretary of State has a form you fill out. You guys have your thing, you fill out your resolution. In that resolution, you state that you're giving the money to
And that's
CCMD.
done.
That's all that has to be done. CCMD just has to say, we accept. You don't have to have this lengthy worded concept. And besides that, CCMD was the appointee, or the appointor, so they don't have to do any more.
That's what you just said, right there. That, yeah, we are taking it back.
You don't need an attorney to do that.
No, but what I'm saying is in the document stating that, yes, the The
That was
board has agreed to take it back as a responsibility.
We don't need an agreement, it's ours.
Once again though, what's the downside to the agreement if it's ours?
It's not correct.
Okay, James,
The
move on.
what is it, the downside is that you were admitting by that document, the ACCACC, whatever it was the successor,
Okay.
Okay.
and they never were.
We'll move on. You have in your packet the bid for diving. It is in the budget. This is what
Or the middle bid.
it's a middle bid.
They've used us,
because
we
we're
used them the last time they did it. They know our facilities, they know what it takes to get to some of our trouble, like tank 3 mil, and have, the difference I saw in the 3 bids was that they understood the process to get to tank 3, which is our difficult tank, and what goes into it, and the other ones even through conversations, phone calls with them on, hey, tank 3 is a beast, you gotta have, you know, it's a remote setup, you have to set up your air at the bottom, run air lines up to the site, and then up the tank and in. Basically gave us, the low bid was a T&M for that piece, so kinda hard to tell what my bid is, what they're gonna charge me T&M to do that piece. These guys have it in their bid, be included in it. They were the only ones that were.
It was higher, but there wasn't a number for
They didn't know exactly what it was gonna cost and what kind of time frame it was gonna be, so could have been added to the bill, which could have ended up being higher than what these guys said, this is what we're coming in at.
Yeah, I had a high price, they kinda shot that number high to deal with tank 3, I had a low price, about $3,000 lower than this, but they basically didn't give me a price to do with the tank 3, they just left it as a time and material.
And there's 3 types.
4 tanks total.
Thoughts?
Get out of all of them. Real estate plan, I mean, section 3, it's a red. Bob asked, can you have some kind, went through this, I know we're not in the real estate business, I went with the contract to buy. If we can come in and sign a contract, even though he hasn't given me one that was lined out or whatever, that we'll deal with this, but then the contract must be accompanied with either a minimum of 3 comparatives and or 2 BPOs or an appraisal at their cost. It will be presented to the board, at which time it will be accepted or returned back for a counteroffer. The way of advertising, I went through this, I pulled it up on Pueblo properties. I can probably end up getting a screenshot of all the properties at CCMD and put it onto our, we can advertise it that way. And that way get interest as people going through, okay, Colorado City, Colorado, boom, government, it's there. I know I'm not in the real estate market, I'm not a realtor, but when all our goal is this.
Yeah. David had signed up to.
My name's David Douglas. I live here in the valley. I appreciate the board's time and consideration with my offer. I do live in Rye, licensed realtor. I have 10 years land surveying background. I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce here. I'm focused on trying to better the community. The reason why I'm here is that's my focus. So hopefully we can work together. You know, I can answer questions if you guys have it. One way that this can be done is this, to improve the real estate process is for the sales of the properties be used to improve the district and for the district to benefit from any sales and not individuals. I left a proposal 2 meetings ago. I have a couple questions. Have any other real estate agents made any offers?
No.
Is all the local real estate people been properly notified to make it?
No. If you want me to go out and search, I can do that.
I just, it's been 30 days, I made an offer, so I was just curious. I did finally acquire a copy of today's proposal from the district. Nobody did call me,
I did
from any of the
yesterday.
board.
I
You
did.
called me yesterday after I
Yeah.
called you.
Yeah.
Yes, I called you asking for that. I feel its fiduciary duty should be the #1 priority for this board, and to maximize the profits for any real estate sales. And I've personally witnessed that hasn't happened. That's why I'm here. So, if you guys have any questions.
So, David, basically, the comments I'd like to is, what is the advantage to having a real estate agent? Is it only fiduciary? Is it, what value?
The other would be, and are sold at profit, and it's not going to private interests, and handling the matters through a real estate agent will take the liability off the Metro District as well. I'm insured. It's not like I'm going to make a lot of money by doing this. I just would like it to be transparent and fair and open. So, thank you.
I
Thanks,
have,
David. Mr. Chairman, go ahead, Greg.
I have a question for Jim. First of all, I thought that when we were discussing this, we were going to put this out for bids to other real estate agents.
So it was never directed that way.
Okay, well, I guess I misunderstood that,
Okay.
that conversation that we had. Second of all, my question would be, I don't understand this proposal completely, okay, but giving it to him to do for a trial basis, what are the contracts usually, guys? 6 months? That's a trial basis. Giving it to him for a trial basis to see if he can make us more money, okay, what does that hurt?
I have no problem with that. I think in the contract you had a year though.
I had a year, and we can negotiate on the details of it. It's just I want to get the conversation out there that you don't have anybody in the real estate business representing you anywhere here. And I'm in the business. Why wouldn't you use my service? You know?
Well, one thing, it's gonna cost us $1,000.
Well, is it, are we
Well,
gonna get
for-
more than that
For
1,000?
example, if a property sells for $7,000 from the board, and then sells for $27,000 a few months later, the board could have had that $20,000.
The other, but that bothers me too, because that was a board member.
And it's
And the
gone on
thing
for a
is-
long time.
If you have comparables, if you have 3 comparables, or if you have market values, what's the difference of us, cause we're not in the business to sell land, our land, I think the one land that woman bought that one time had a sign on it by our place for ages, I never knew it was there, but I went by it one day, it was on there. I don't know of any other land that we own that has a sign on for
Yes, it
sale,
is. There are
not many though, I don't think.
not many.
Whose signs are there?
But my
Is
concern
it
is,
just our, it's not a realtor?
we're sticklers, I mean, I'm looking back at the Lepleys, and they were fried by this board. They were fried by this board. They needed everything dotted, everything crossed, and then I'm gone on a mission trip for a month. And a board member bought a property for $7,000, didn't have all the paperwork in when it was signed, and I still don't see the 3 comps on the property. And then they sell it for $27,000 with no improvements, no water, no sewer. We need to clean our own house up before we clean out anybody else's house.
This is the very problem, and the reason why I stepped in here today is
Yeah.
because the board is not got it.
Cross all our T's and dot all our business to sell property.
Can I make a statement?
Yeah.
The board is in the real estate business for the community. We own property. You guys are representatives for that property, and it's not being represented for the community. So.
Okay.
Well, you
I
had
agree.
some-
Yeah, if you got all the argument,
Absolutely.
So how do we work that in a scenario where, let's just, there's a million of them out there, but you've got a $3,000 lot, realistically, and it's gonna cost you $1,000 for an appraisal.
I doubt it'll cost $1,000.
$750 is the going rate, I believe.
On a lot, you can probably get it for $5.
$5 to $750,
Yeah.
depending on the acreage.
It's a cost of doing business, no matter how if you're in the real estate business, which I'm not, but I know a lot of people are.
Mm-hmm.
I do deal with real estate on a daily business, and every time I sell or buy a piece of property, there is a real estate appraisal. Even your IRAs will not accept a BPO or market value when you're trying to withdraw property from your trust. It has to be a real estate appraisal.
I know going with a real estate agent would be great for me and Karen. Because we get numerous calls per day on property, and, well, let's look at this property, and does it have water, does it have sewer, does it, that's something that as a real estate agent, you're gonna need to know, and we can turn around and say, hey, yeah, that's fine, call so-and-so, if he has the information, he can deal with it. I am not fighting against him, I'm just saying what is best for the board.
Does it tie us, bind us exclusively, only can be sold through him?
That would be it.
That's a real estate contract, you gotta use the real estate.
Once again, I think you have rules about how contracts are, and you're gonna have to advertise that. You can't just, I don't think, what is the value? You need to look at what the statutes say about entering into those types of contracts.
So right now, if I'm correct, you can correct me if I'm not, if somebody wants to buy a piece of property, there has to be a meeting amongst the board, you have to agree to a price, maybe counter back and forth, 2 or 3 meetings, correct?
No. Pretty much we've used, we look at comps and stuff, but I think we've used assessed value fairly consistently.
So my proposal is to get together with the board, all the properties that you have, put a price on them. I'll market them, I'll sell them, price is already fixed, you don't have to have meetings about it, I'll field all the calls, that's my proposal.
That's the area that we're unsure of though. Why are we putting a price on it when we don't even know what the market value of that price is on that land?
That's what I'm getting paid for.
Okay, well,
That's
you're saying that you're
that's
gonna
my
come
fee.
to us and ask for a market value.
I'm gonna establish values, but you have to approve it.
Values with us.
You guys have to approve it, I'll do all the
I'm just,
pricing.
I
Right.
still think you need a real estate appraisal before you sell any property.
As a buyer, if I wanted to buy a $2,000 piece of property out there, and there's a bunch of them that aren't really worth that much, I'm not willing to pay the extra $1,000.
Or 500.
Or $500 for the appraisal and then $1,000 to the realtor. So,
And then the metro district gets nothing.
right.
Okay, but we're not selling a ton of properties right now anyway. Okay, since I've been on the board, we sold what? Two properties. Okay, so we're not selling a ton of properties. So, I don't like the year idea, to be honest with you, put out to other realtors. And I know you came up with the idea, but to be fair, this needs to be put out to the other realtors.
There's at least one other realty company that I'm aware of, and I'll certainly mention the name to Jim later, that's interested in a proposal for far less money.
And that needs to be put out there
Exactly.
for everybody. So we need to put that out there to the realtor companies, and I think a 6-month contract, first of all, it doesn't hurt a thing. I don't understand how it would hurt a thing as long as we're not losing any money over what we would have lost.
Well, let's look at it this way. The manager just made the statement, he saved money by using a broker. We can save money and make money by using a broker. A
And
professional
like I
in
said,
the business.
I don't disagree with you, Bob, at all. I'm just looking at the board as what is best, not as,
What
okay.
is best? Okay, let's look at that. Section about breaching fiduciary responsibility. That's the first size what we're getting. I didn't put this book together,
no, I didn't.
so we have to consider everything here.
Yeah. And that's why we're having the discussion as to where we need to go with it.
I mean,
What is best? what is gonna, you know, what is best to you is not best to somebody else.
My personal opinion is to keep all the accusations from flying around the room that everybody wants to throw out there. Let's get let's get several professionals if we can, to give us bids and offers, and then we decide which one is the best one, and we give them a 6-month trial period.
Okay.
And we see if they can make us money. If they can, then let's do it. If not, we go back to the way it was. No harm, no foul.
I still think we need to put our properties maybe on the website, the lots that are out there, because I have no idea what they are.
I don't think that would hurt anything even if we got a
Yeah,
contract,
if we
although
did.
we would still
It'd
have to.
be in the contract if we do that.
If we do it, yeah, okay. I mean, we can put that in the contract.
Yeah, and that, I have no problem with that. Like I said, it would free up Karen and my time a bunch.
Yeah,
So
we're paying somebody to do something that is their job, and if it's not actually costing us any net money, we're actually freeing you guys up to do something different. It could save us money all the way around.
Yep, I have no problem with that, and I'll do that.
So, I have one other thought, and I'm confused, and I don't want any names, but I'm confused why somebody was interested and didn't come in and say so.
So am I.
But I don't know if we posted it
Well,
or
no,
anything
but
like that.
it's
I
been
think we
in
need to post it.
it's been in the paper, and, I mean,
It's just
somebody
within the
obviously
article.
knew about it, but then they didn't say anything.
It was within the article, it was.
So we just wanted an official RFP
Yeah.
for a 6-month
And
real
I
estate
would-
marketing.
I would say, because we also don't wanna, take bids every 6 months, I would say that we do it on a 6-month trial with the option based
renew
on the
it.
district manager to
Yeah.
renew it for 6 months, but I think we should at least do it annually. People get complacent and assume and just settle into,
Annual is the standard in the business.
well, I've never marketed on an annual, I've always done 6 months, but I haven't done that
There's a
much
lot of
project.
initial work that would go in whoever gets this project as a realtor, so even the 6-month is
So
kinda
David,
short term to be
the
able to
initial work you
benefit.
do, the second person wouldn't have to do if you were the
Correct.
first?
What my plan is to get an agreed on price on these lots by you guys.
Oh, I see.
I'll come up with the prices, help come up with the prices, and as long as it's approved, then the board doesn't have to have a meeting when there's one that sells. It's marked what it's supposed to sell for,
Right.
it's sold, somebody signs it, it's done, there doesn't have to be a meeting over it, and
We're coming into buying season right now,
that's,
so if we get that done we can get it done before the next meeting, can't we?
No.
No, cause we're gonna have to
We'll have to
Post
vote on a
tonight, so
So maybe
contract,
the meeting after that, so we
we'll
get
have
it
to
done
vote on a
within month.
contract for him for next meeting and go that route.
You would know who you're gonna sign your contract with by the next meeting, and then
But-
from there
Next week's only roughly 2 weeks, so that'd be a little tight on
Don't-
one meeting.
Don't
I
we
would
need
give
to
him a
consider
full month.
the cost
Okay,
of each lot? When we
I
put it
just-
into price?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
So we
Yeah,
have to
and
look at
that's where he would have to come in and we'd have to sit down and work on
and
it.
agree upon the price, so we would know what we're paying them and what we're getting out of the deal. And that would give us an idea right there whether or not we're gonna be getting, the same or more. I mean, I would think we'd get more since a real estate agent knows what they're doing.
I can get it marketed, got people already interested, it's just,
I don't wanna sound trite, but if you don't have real estate appraisals, you're just doing the same thing. This man is a realtor, he's not a real estate appraiser. Everybody that bought these properties have come in with real estate, opinions, and they've been way off the mark. So who's going to establish these prices? I can honestly say from my opinion, that board has failed in establishing the proper prices of these properties. So for him to come to you to set those prices is disturbing to me.
the market sets the price.
The only way
Your
to
opinion
disturb-
isn't
The only way to
exactly.
get the market is through a real estate appraisal.
But he could get a real estate appraisals by lots that are in that area, that sold recently, right?
That doesn't necessarily give you, the lots can vary because of their location. This lot's 2 blocks over, it sold for, say, $11,000, you come two lots over, and it's in a better location, it's on the corner, that lot's worth 3 times what the other one was. Basing it on what it was sold for without the analysis of a real estate appraiser is not the way to do it. Believe me, you get burned if you don't use real estate appraisals.
We've been burned a few times. I think we need to, in fairness to the other people, I wasn't here at that one meeting personally, but I think we need it out to the other realtors in town, because whoever gets the job in the first 6 months of the first year is gonna do all the legwork.
Correct.
Cause after that's done, then it's just a cookie cutter after that. So I think we need to.
So we do 6 months with an option to renew. If we renew the program, we renew it with that realtor that started it.
For a year.
For a year.
If you can
So-
produce in the first 6 months, and, you know, the next 6 months, it's.
And we lock it in with that realtor for the next 6 months.
Yeah, or the next year.
Yeah.
And then put it out on.
And then we put it out on a yearly contract.
So are there credit points for initiative and coming up with the idea?
I think there's some of that could
I'm
be
serious.
taken
Yeah.
in consideration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it should be.
All right, anything else for the work study session?
No, that was it for.
Okay, I'll end the study session, and we'll move right into the regular meeting at 6:45. Join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you so desire, please join me in a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Let the minutes reflect 4 of the 5 board members are here. Justin is absent. First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion we approve the agenda as printed.
Been moved. Could I have a second?
I will second it.
Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the minutes. Mr. Chairman, due to the statements we provide in each of the minutes, I move that the minutes be approved. I have a motion for the approval of the minutes. Could I have a second?
I second.
Been moved and seconded, we approve the minutes. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved. By the way, I forgot to mention, just for the record, the minutes we just approved were both the study and regular meeting of March 12th. Bills payable.
That's the
We
next
don't,
meeting.
Oh, that's right.
equitable because
All
we
the
do it
reports
the
and
first of the
everything.
month.
There is a reason I carry a calendar.
And the financial issues down at the sewer plant, we're working on them.
I'll wait till the first meeting of the month.
Yep.
Statement of conduct and demeanor. In order for the business of the board to be conducted in the most effective and expeditious manner, it is necessary that all persons refusal being escorted out of the meeting by proper authority. David was the only one signed up for citizen input, which he provided during the study session. Move on to the agenda items.
Okay, agenda items, like I said, road grader for the resolution for the bed melt with, MBH, is that right?
Yep.
Like I said, all the information there, all we need is a resolution, authorizing equipment lease purchase agreement with MBH Bank and authorizing the form, execution, and delivery of the lease purchase agreement and related documents.
I make a motion.
It's been moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Chairman, I respectfully request a division of the House with matching the resolution.
All right, we will vote individually on road grader resolution 7-2019. I'll start with you, Greg.
Yes.
Chair says yes.
No.
No, Harry?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-1. CCACC disband, create CCAAC.
Like I said, we went through with, having the CCACC, which the board appointed 2 board members and myself to it, and got the process going as to disbanding it and reverting control back over to the CCMD. We thought it would be a good idea to continue a committee though, as a CCAA committee, which would be Colorado City Architectural Advisement Committee, that would go to the board to help with decision making, and by putting 2 board members and 3 public or myself on it to complete the board, so that we have that ability to have that quasi-modo and clear, quiet, well, you know what I mean.
Quasi, we,
We're in the second meeting of the month.
Yeah. So with that, like I said, the attorney, we went through the steps of turning the money over to the CCMD, and had a resolution to dissolve it at this point. It was the recommendation to have the agreement with the CCMD that they are willing to accept that, even though they are the successor to that committee. Like I said, it was just a step-by-step process to make sure that everything was in line and in writing as to what happened. I believe that's why it was set up that way.
And I approve the motion.
Wait a minute, we haven't had the motion yet.
Yeah, made that resolution.
No, it's okay. This would be an agreement for assignment and assumption of the design review and covenant enforcement authority. That's what you would be making a motion on.
Okay, and you're
I
making
made a
that
motion on that, yes.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do I hear a second?
I will second it, but I would like some discussion.
Okay, discussion. So what are your?
My only, so basically this here agreement is to assign covenant enforcement to the, CCMD, correct?
Yes.
We are forming the ACC, as I'm reading this here, if I'm reading this correctly.
We're dissolving the ACC.
Dissolving the ACC.
And we'd like to create a AAC committee to advise.
Are you asking to create now, or is that a separate?
No, we're dissolving right now.
We're at this point.
This deal's
We
only
gotta,
with this.
if you're in agreement of this, then we could next meeting turn around and create a committee for the AAC.
Because we've set up on our meeting, in fact, we have a public meeting, it's gonna be the first and third Mondays right here, and we had a meeting.
But we gotta get
Yeah.
an agreement first.
Okay.
With the board.
So, in the line of discussion, everything it's confusing to me if this document's necessary or not. How would we verify whether it's necessary, that this is even necessary? Because
The only thing I can go off of is what the lawyer told us that needed to be done.
We have to dissolve this first.
No, we've
We've
done that.
I understand the dissolution, what the argument appears to be, if I'm understanding it right, is whether we have to do anything, whether you guys did the work
That's not in question.
already.
So, just for maybe some clarification, my input here would be, I don't think it would be in any of your best interest to do anything with this document tonight, other than approve the dissolution of the current.
We can't even
Right.
do that. Really.
And then maybe a call to the Secretary of State, verify what resolution is required by them. You know, they have their form that you gotta fill out to dissolve the current. And in order, at that point, I would say, you know, a conversation or a phone call with Secretary of State stating what needs to be in the resolution for us to take it back over, being that we are, you know, we are under the assumption that we are the successor regardless.
The only reason the Secretary of State is involved with it is because it was filed under a
An
nonprofit LLC. So I don't think they would have any information on whether it would be, you know, on that tie back. It would be, all they're worried about is that they were a nonprofit that dealt with this.
So maybe just a phone call to Carolyn to say, we need to clarify if we're the successor previous to that.
The motion, according to the document, returns everything to us. The question being whether anything needs to be returned to us. So a yes vote would indicate that we accept this document. A no vote would indicate that we do not accept the document, and then we can direct the district manager to do more research. Harry, I'll start here at this time.
I'll say no.
No. No?
No.
All right. Please, thank you, James. I know you've been learning all that fun stuff at the sewer plant, but you're gonna have to make some fun.
Now we're gonna learn something, we're gonna go into the legal. I gotta change my hat.
And put on different clothes.
Yeah.
No attorney's report, any new business?
I have a number of new business and old business, Mr. Chairman, but I'll wait and see if anybody else has any.
I have one new business.
You have no new?
No, I have one new.
Oh, one, go ahead. We'll defer to age.
Okay, the last board meeting we just approved where we now have our YouTube working, and I cornered Bob today. I appreciate him bringing his, unit in here, but I don't think we need it anymore since this one can do YouTube and also Facebook, if that's what we wish. And anybody can log into both of those, and since we're the community, Colorado City Community Metro District, I think it needs to stay with the Metro District and not an outside. But I appreciate him bringing his equipment in when we didn't have any.
Certainly.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to speak on that. I'll continue to use mine occasionally for my own personal use, but I would like to see the Facebook up and going before we stop both units. Currently, I'm told our own YouTube, the resolution called for Facebook. So I don't think the Facebook page has been created yet, and it's, they have plenty of time to do that. I don't want to put any time frames on because I think it can be done fairly reasonably.
So what the Metro right now is providing is YouTube.
Yeah, we have YouTube right now. That's one thing I just asked Donnie if we ever set
We
up
hadn't had it out yet.
So I'll set up a CCMD Facebook account so that way we can stream it to both.
Is that all right with you, Ben? Okay. Other new business? Go ahead, Bob.
Couple of new things. We'll start with the easy one first, and this one's directed more at the manager. I would like to get the files that I've been receiving in email in PDF format. There seems to be an issue when I try to open some of the forms, so like some of the documents we received this time on my phone. I don't always have them, the laptop handy or the desktop handy, and I will scan something where a PDF will open on any device, and the proprietary Word documents don't necessarily open on all of my devices.
Do you have Word windows on your phone?
No. You can just export it as a PDF.
Yeah, I can do the whole book as that.
Well, I get a lot of PDFs, and it would be simple if you could just make them all PDFs.
Okay. That's no problem.
No problem. Okay.
One other little thing, I had sent you a note, just verifying that you got it, that Sam from Rye would like a verification from Donnie of the delivery of the notice to raise the rates to 60 days prior. He would like to see documentation of who you delivered it to.
To the town clerk.
I know, but
Yep.
he's asked for a note be sent up
Okay.
there, because for some reason they've not got it.
Okay.
And then I told him, yes, I verified with both the manager and Donnie that the document was delivered, and he just wants a note saying it was delivered. He would also like to sit with some of the board members, or Donnie and, the manager and James, and look at some of the data. I was telling him how he had questions as to flow rate. And I said, I sat down with Donnie and James, and we looked at the flow rate, and it's actually broken down per hour. We can set and identify times of day where things spike and where some of the flow is coming from. And he was very interested in seeing that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, in the future, why, just refer them to James right away and then.
Well, I have done that, but sometimes they call.
Well, see, the other problem is with Rye, cause I dealt with them very closely for a long time, is that they do not have their meter working yet.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, and that's the main part of that whole program, cause we're gonna go off all that meter, and so they really don't wanna question our flow rates, cause they have nothing to compare it to.
Well,
And ours is gonna be the backup when it's all done, but the thing is, we have a phone number right here, they can call the city manager, they can call, here, and Sam could ask his clerk where the thing was.
I know
Pretty simple.
I've sent 2 or 3 emails to Nikki stating we need to sit down and talk and get this lawsuit finished up, because all it's doing is costing us money and it's costing you money through lawyer fees, and let's get it resolved and see where we're at. We
And
never got any
that's why
response from
Sam
him.
called me. He said, we're tired of lawyer fees, same as us, we wanna
Mhm.
sit down.
Give him my number.
I have done that. They insist on calling me. I said I would forward the information.
Okay.
I came in.
Their meter up there,
We're just trying to be friendly.
I know, but I mean, it's their ballpark now, cause they're the ones that have to put the meter in.
They have to
I'd
meet
gladly
their
meet with him and
requirements.
talk about whatever needs to be talked about.
I
We've
know-
tried to reach out numerous times and with zero response.
I know, Bob came out with, what was it, April 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, to meet with them.
Yeah, I haven't even
So-
heard back on that.
Well, and that's fine, any of those days, we'll make time to do
Yeah, I
it.
told him, I said, just
It
set
was
a
just
date.
this week, there was no way we could make time
No,
to do it.
and I told him, I said, look, let's set a proper date.
Yeah.
Let's stop this phone calls back and forth, and we'll all sit down.
Yeah.
Very good. Cause it's rough on me too, having to stop what I'm doing to come
Yeah.
down here, visit with them, because it takes them out of the field and it takes away from my shop as well.
So those were the 2 easy ones?
Yes, sir.
You're limited to 2 new business items per meeting.
On bills payable, this would be more old business. The last bills payable, I caught it because
So it's old.
it is
Do you have
old.
any other new?
I'm not seeing new.
Okay, let's move to old business, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, I just wanted to
That's
keep
fine.
it clear.
Well, let me just skip that one, go for the first old one. The county is still, dumping limbs. All I wanna do is ask, I think, Donnie, have you had the discussion about chipping?
I have not had a chance to speak with him about chipping. I do have a phone call in to Kelly Bach and him and I on a few items, and that's on my agenda to speak with him about. I'm hoping to speak with him this week.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a report at the next meeting of how that went?
Okay.
Because I'm fielding calls there again. I tell them to call here. Mr. Chairman, you got a question to do that?
You mind if I interject on an old business thing? But going back to the real estate, thing, I just was curious, on your asset level, are these lots listed as a value for your assets?
I believe so.
Yvonne, we're all looking at you.
I believe so.
Well, my thinking is very simple. If they are, and they're undervalued by 200 or 300%, then this board might really wanna consider.
It does have a cost associated.
Well, if it's a piece of property, it's gotta be listed as an asset somewhere.
Well, it's listed as an asset, but you were asking if it had a value,
Well, if the land's listed on the county at $7,000, it's gotta have an asset value. When the
Right.
auditors come in and do your
That's,
asset, they've got to take that into consideration.
Well,
If
I
that
thought you
piece
were
of
talking about
property is really
spreadsheets.
worth $27,000, then the assets of this district are severely undervalued, and this board needs to look at it.
I'll take a look and get with you, but I mean, we have a total, yes, but whether it's broken down on the two spreadsheets that I'm referring to, I'll have to look at. But
Because,
we'll-
we've looked at them spreadsheets, Yvonne and I, just on one property that we were looking at down in 31, I think it was. And one property, it showed it being $1,000, and the other property was
Like $7,000
$34,000 value.
Exactly.
yeah.
And it was like, how could it be they were the same, they were within,
Because the county values it off the last sale.
yeah, but they were the same size.
Okay, other old business.
Well, then you value them.
Next on my list is the bills payable from the last, meeting. I caught something, I did call, Yvonne and ask about it, had some clarification on it, and that was, there was a note, in there, money going out, went to Sam's Club for concessions, approximately 800, it doesn't matter about the change at this point. And I had asked, I see the money going out, but because this is concessions, there's also revenue. And I don't see an offsetting number of revenue. Now, it's kinda hard to say, okay, to money going out if you don't know if you're getting that money back. And when I talked to Yvonne, she had a number of approximately 1,400 in revenue coming back from the 800. That's all fine and dandy. One caveat I want to throw in was in that revenue coming in, did you factor in the cost of labor going out to create that $400? So I know we took in 400 more than we sent out, but what it cost us to create that 400, did it cost us 100 or 700 to create that 400?
I think it's however Josh has it set up. I didn't think it was costing us anything.
The employees are actually being paid, those concessions were from basketball. So their wages are going to basketball all together with concessions. I have a spreadsheet at my office. There's a profit of $200 for the season after paying wages.
Thank you. Last thing on my old business, and I know nobody wants to hear this, is forensic audit. This board directed management number of months ago to have a report by the end of December. 1st of January it was changed to, I think we started in November. We're now well past that. Now, we know for a fact that there are public documents missing, there's public recordings missing, there's improper sales of property, confidential documents are missing, standpipe money discrepancies, improper use of funds held in trust, improper use of Metro resources, and ethics violations. So that's stuff we know about. What we don't know about, from what I understand, a forensic audit isn't about just numbers. It includes how we've been doing business and what we've been doing. And I feel we need to move forward with this. And the first thing we do is we need that report before we can move forward or stop it. What report? The report that was requested to be delivered to the board. The board never received the report of the forensic audit.
And that was, in fairness, it was done during
True.
the transition. But yeah, we have not received it.
Every day I learn something new. Every day I learn something new. We can go through, I can give you a report of things that you don't know. Is it worth beating a horse that's down?
The board requested a report, so the board could determine whether or not it's worth beating a dead horse.
I don't know if did we vote that?
Yes, we did.
Well, what was that to include? You're gonna have to refresh my memory, it isn't as good as yours. What was that report to consist of?
Whether or not to have a forensic audit.
And I don't think we voted on that.
At the time we asked.
So you asked for a report that was extended, I believe, to February-ish, at that whatever January meeting, to establish a manager's report of if there was any additional discrepancies, whether it be documentation or fiduciary, that would add to what was already known.
Which we know there is some, but I don't know what the report would actually
Specifics,
contain.
yes.
Why didn't you get that done?
I was busy. Honestly,
I mean,
I don't have a good excuse. Jim and I never really truly got to sit down and talk about
he's
that.
wearing about 3-4 hats at the time, and it's just understaffed.
And that's why we extended it, Harry.
Yep.
But I think what we need to do, I mean, I didn't see too many things intentionally done by anybody, cause the auditors look at things. And my spill of the whole thing is you need to clean house and just go on and move ahead.
I'm glad you mentioned the auditors, Harry, because auditors' reports are missing.
They shouldn't be missing.
Well, they are.
Well, the confidential reports to the board haven't been able to find any of those for past, whereas like this year, you got a confidential report from the auditors stating.
From years past.
No,
Yeah.
for the year and recommendations as to what you need to do, which at that point, that is some of the things that they had found and that policies and procedures needed to be changed. And with that report, you did that. You cleaned a lot of that
This
up.
one we did. We don't have those old reports to verify.
But their history, I mean, it's gone. You can't live in the past. I think we need to build on, cause we're doing a lot of new things in the future. And I think when you live in the past forever, you're gonna live in the past and move on. And I think we've made a lot of strides. And I think we're still striving to get there. But we cannot look in the past all the time and dig up dead worms.
The thing about it is it, do you want to really lose confidence in CCMD? Because you can bring out I can bring out a bunch of things that probably not everybody knows. But in the same sense, you're gonna lose that support and that stuff by that. Or you can bring it out and you might gain confidence with it. Who knows? It's one of those juggling acts.
Here's my input on all this, just real quick, Mr. President.
No, go ahead.
It is not my job to determine if something that was done in the past was done with malice, was done not with malice, was done legally, or was done illegally. That would be law enforcement's job. If we feel like there has been some stuff that has been done incorrect, I have no problem inviting the county sheriff in to do a forensic audit. He will be more than fair, I am quite certain, as to how he approaches things. But it is not my job as a board member or a citizen of the community to determine what's legal or illegal. And I don't think I agree with you. I don't want to dig up dead worms.
Let's move forward.
Okay, but at the same time though, that's not really my job. That's really the sheriff's jobs and the district attorney's job. And if there is stuff that you two have found that is questionable, then maybe we ought to, in my humble opinion, maybe we ought to turn it over to the sheriff and allow him to make the decision whether or not it is something that is actionable or not actionable. I mean, I don't think he would have any problem either way. I could be wrong. I don't know the sheriff.
I would disagree that, but.
Some of the things that I've found that were wrong were made right.
That's good. And I think
So-
you would take that into consideration.
Yeah, so, you know, and there's some things that we look at and we say, well, this was wrong, and we haven't found the resolution to it yet. So it's a process, like I said, we find stuff every day that is, this is how, you know, I'll give you an example today. Found out registration on vehicles. We haven't paid them for 2 years.
But if you look at the registration on the vehicle, it says expiration date permanent.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
we found things like that.
It
that
seems
is-
as though we're still finding things.
Yeah.
So what, at this point, without putting them in a bind for the next meeting, I would rather say, okay, let's see the report in 30 days. Give them time to go through, but if they're still finding stuff, it needs to be in the report. The board's already requested the
Is
report.
30 days enough?
Is it enough, Jim?
Well, you're asking me at one point, and you're asking Jim now at this point, in conjunction with the rest of us, to now become judge and jury on what makes it on the report. No, you are. You're asking us to determine what comes to the report, what doesn't come to the report.
We will make you put everything in the report.
Put everything in the report.
Everything. We make that determination.
Well, I don't know if that's necessary. I don't think, we're board members, we develop policy and we set things. We are not the everyday in and out people. Cause I'm here to tell you what, guys, we do not micromanage. And somebody wanna micromanage, and that is not the way it happens. And I think what's going on right now in this building is really good. And if you go out to the job sites, I mean, these men can hardly stop and talk to you because they're so busy and they're short right now because of situations, and they're working through it. And the thing is, we do not to go back, and I hate to go back to history. It's a new sheet. This is a new sheet. We've made a lot of adjustments. Let's move on. Forget about the past. Let's move on. And quit trying to micromanage everybody in this room.
Wait a minute.
I'd love to hear your opinion on this.
No, I don't think in society, right now, you're presumed guilty until proven innocent.
Yes. Unfortunately.
We open that door to that, and I never look at Facebook because it bothers me a great deal, but I think it's a waste of time and effort, personally. You can pick any company, any organization, any group, and you can find all the things wrong with one too. And if you are bent that way to focus on the negative, you can do that. I can find something wrong with everybody in here. I can find a lot wrong with me. But if you're bent to look at growth and positive, and then you're bent that way. And I think the amount of extra work it creates to get to the decision, the dissension it causes even among the 5 of us, it's a lose-lose. And not doing it is a lose-lose too, because then everybody goes, they're hiding stuff, which is crap, but can I say crap on you?
Just did.
Twice.
Well, and that's the part that bothers me about this completely, because to be honest with you guys, and I hate to split the sheets here, but I agree with both of you. Because I don't like the fact that the people don't have the out and out truth, okay, whatever the truth is. I also don't like the fact that just like what they're doing to our president or what they've done to countless public officials, they just go after him and go after him on an endless witch hunt.
Yeah.
So I don't know where the balance is between the two, but that's
just to be fair and upfront, in the time, and I spoke to this at the previous when we voted to extend 30 days or for that transition period. I had found nothing at that point that constituted, in my opinion, and take that for what it was, at that time, that what I felt was, things that were done, unethically. There was a lot of things that were done improperly, or didn't quite follow the procedure 100%, whether that was malice or not up to me,
Yeah.
or any of you.
Or any of
But
us.
at that point, and I did speak to Jim to this initially when he came in first, that hadn't found anything to that point that I felt constituted a forensic investigation. But we had spoke at that time, we had a lot of more time to look, we were gonna continue to dig and see what we could find. I can tell you, in my opinion, in that time frame that we were looking, even to today, nothing has popped up and said, you know what? Here's the golden hidden thing that everybody's been talking about. So in my mind, that's telling me, subconsciously, that there's nothing there. You can go dig and dig and dig. And like Terry said, you may find something if you dig far. How far back do you want to take the report?
I'm a little bit kind of amazed at the conversation here, but I thought this was about a report, and if nobody found anything, why didn't they just report they didn't find anything?
Well, I think they were
then-
trying to be thorough and hadn't finished.
Well, if you're gonna do the report, do it, and when it's done, if you don't find anything, just say you don't find anything. If you find something that's of a criminal intent or whatever, you better bring it forward, because if you don't, then you're an accessory after the fact.
Mhm.
But the question is, how far do you wanna go in, and
Yeah.
just do the report. If you think you've gone far enough, why aren't you just doing the report, cause that's what the board asked for.
Do you want it in for the last year, for the last 8 years? How far do you wanna go back with it? That's the
Good
other
point.
aspect.
Good point.
Cause I could see contracts maybe that were 8 years ago that happened that.
And then that's where I'm talking about, that I don't really think, I feel comfortable making that decision. It's not my decision to make.
Gentlemen, you guys asked for a report. If you don't want it now, why don't you make a motion to just not have a report? You asked for it.
No,
Do you
we're
not
not
want it if
talking
you
about that, we're talking about decisions on how far back to go, Bill.
Well, we may not want a report. I mean, if it's not,
I mean, that's what I'm hearing, is some people don't want, nobody wants a report. If you don't, just why don't you make a motion? We don't want it anymore.
Right. Or stuff that,
Key point would be when we changed auditors, because that's the first time documents started coming up missing.
So when was that? 2 years ago?
15.
no, that's too far back, guys.
See,
We
that's
don't
more
need to
than-
go
No,
back to
that
that.
puts you in there. You
No,
know,
I've only been here 2 years,
that's what I'm saying.
and I've done nothing wrong, and the thing is,
What I'm saying is,
Neil,
you were on the board.
I'm recognizing Neil.
go ahead, Neil.
So what is the purpose of the report? Is it to attempt to find somebody that you can go after?
There's no attempts. It was to point out what was done right and what was done wrong,
And
and then we make a determination of whether or not to hire a forensic auditor based on the report.
No, that's
Why
not
aren't we
how
looking
I
for the
see it.
future?
The forensic audit is for criminal
Yeah.
or ethical violations.
Well,
So
we know
Not
we've got
what's
one.
done right and what's done wrong. No, we don't know that we have any criminal or ethical violations. There were none that,
Mr. Chairman, do I need to refer to the confidential report laying in front of me?
okay. But anyway, it's to look for big stuff.
That I will go for.
You give us a report in 30 days, and
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, how far do you want to go? I have a 2014, I have 1 year, I have 2 years, you wanna split the difference, how far do you want me to go back?
Let's go 2. Is that
2
sound
years?
agreeable? 2
go
sounds
back 2
agreeable.
years.
All right. And you'll have that by the next meeting?
Yeah, I can do that, which would
And
be.
I'm not-
30 days, right?
30 days.
Second
after
meeting.
next meeting.
Yeah,
Second.
second meeting, when we don't have bills payable.
23rd or something like that.
That'd be April the 20.
Oh yeah, it was.
29th.
Okay, any other old business? Correspondence?
None.
Need a motion to adjourn.
I will motion to adjourn the meeting.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Meeting adjourned.